There's a few really simple tips and tricks to get that perfect, fluffy, great consistency. The two most important things to keep in mind when making rice are timing and ratios. If you cook it too short, it can be hard, and if you cook it for too long, it can just be gummy and mushy. No one wants that. In regards to ratios, if you have too much water, you can just have really wet rice, and if you don't have enough, you can burn your rice. For long grain white rice, you want 1 cup of rice to 2 cups of water. For short grain white rice, you want 1 cup of rice to 1 1/4 cups water. For brown rice, you want 1 cup of rice to 1 3/4 cups water. For whatever type of rice you're making, you're gonna follow a similar process. One tip to help you make the best rice ever is to rinse your rice before cooking it. Rinsing rice helps remove any extra starch. If you're short on time, you can skip this step, but it's a foolproof way to help you get really fluffy, beautiful rice. Some people rinse the rice until the water runs clear. A good method to go by is just rinsing it 3 times. First, I'm going to add the rice and the water and a pinch of salt, totally optional, but it'll give it some extra flavor, and bring it to a boil over high heat. Once the water begins to boil, give it a stir, put the lid on, and turn the heat down to simmer, which is the lowest heat there is. For long grain white rice, you want to cook it for 18 minutes on simmer. For short grain white rice, you want to simmer it for 15 minutes. Brown rice is a bit longer, you want to simmer it for 45 minutes. One really important thing to note is to not remove the lid as you're cooking it. You're steaming the rice and you don't want to let the hot air escape. Just let it be, trust the timing, and it'll come out perfectly. Pro tip, once you remove the pot from the heat, let it steam for an additional 5 to 10 minutes with the lid on, and that's another way to ensure you get really fluffy, beautifully cooked rice. Again, if you're short on time, you can skip this step, but we're trying to get you the best rice possible. It's worth the extra 5 to 10 minutes to get really fluffy rice. Long grain white rice is perhaps the most common rice, at least in America. You can use it for side dishes, pilafs, salads, or just on its own with a protein. Short grain white rice is typically used for sushi, puddings, paella, risotto, and sticky rice. Brown rice is considered to be a healthier option than white rice. It has more fiber, iron, and vitamin B. So white rice is actually brown rice with the bran and germ stripped away, so you're losing some of those nutrients when you're choosing white rice. And while it does take longer to make, it's a bit earthier, nuttier. If you do it correctly, you can actually get a really nice result. Now that you know how to make a really simple pot of rice, we're going to show you how to upgrade it with a few super simple tips and tricks. So first, add olive oil over high heat in the pan. Next up, add shallots, or you can swap this out with any other allium. You could use onions, scallions, garlic, anything that's going to give it a bit of flavor. Cook the shallots for 30 seconds to a minute until it's aromatic and golden brown. Then add the rice. Give that a stir to make sure that it's fully coated with the shallots and the olive oil. You only need to do this for about 30 seconds. So right now you're just toasting the rice. That's a really easy way to add some extra nutty flavor. Then add a splash of white wine. This is totally optional. The alcohol burns off, and it's just a really nice way, again, to add flavor. You can also swap water for stock. Vegetable stock, chicken, beef, whatever you want to use. And again, a pinch of salt will go a long way. So from here, the process is the same. You'll get a really flavorful result without spending too much extra time. The thing is, you can mix and match with what you want to add to upgrade your rice. It's a really easy way to trick your friends into thinking you're extra fancy. It's true, they're gonna love it. If you're someone who makes rice all the time, it might be worth investing in a rice cooker. Rice cookers are super easy to use, they're less fussy, everything's marked out for you in terms of proportions. It's a foolproof way of getting a consistently perfect batch of rice every time. The first steps to becoming a better cook are mastering the basics. Rice is such a staple dish, and if you can master it, it'll just make you a better cook. It really doesn't have to be scary, and it doesn't have to be boring either. If you just pay attention to timing and ratios and add a few flavor boosters, you can have the best rice ever. Tune in next week to Tasty 101. We're making... What are we making? The ultimate chocolate cake. Damn, that's a great reason to tune in.